The Council's meeting. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with life. Delegates from countless alien species filled the massive chamber, their voices blending into a hum of conversation. The walls shimmered with holographic displays of distant galaxies, a constant reminder of the Council's immense power. This was where decisions shaping the fate of the galaxy were made, and today was no different. Until an unexpected message arrived. A bright blue orb floated into the center of the hall, signaling the arrival of an urgent communication. Silence fell as the orb expanded into a holographic screen. Priority 1 message, the automated voice announced. The delegates leaned forward, their interest piqued. Priority messages were rare, reserved for only the most critical matters. The sender's name appeared on the screen, and the silence turned to murmurs. It read, Earth, Human Alliance. Humans, scoffed Rallick, a reptilian delegate from the Zeltran Empire. His scaled lips curled into a sneer. What could those primitive creatures possibly have to say? Others chuckled or shook their heads in agreement. Earth was a backwater planet, barely a speck in the grand scheme of the galaxy. The humans had only recently joined the interstellar community, and even then, they were viewed as weak and insignificant. The idea that they would send a Priority 1 message was laughable. The council leader, a towering figure with crystalline skin that refracted light like a prism, raised a hand. "Let us hear them out," she said, her voice calm but firm. "The humans would not dare waste our time without reason." The screen flickered, and a message began to play. A human figure appeared, tall, confident, and wearing a sleek black uniform. His face was stern, his eyes sharp with determination. Behind him, the stars of the Milky Way gleamed. "Greetings, members of the Galactic Council." The man began, his voice steady. "I am Admiral Marcus Kane of the Human Alliance. I speak on behalf of all humanity." A wave of laughter rippled through the hall. "They have an admiral now," someone whispered. "How quaint." Admiral Kane ignored the mocking expressions. "For centuries, humanity has been underestimated, ignored, and dismissed by this council. We have observed your alliances, your wars, and your decisions from the shadows. But now, the time for observation is over. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars." The laughter died down, replaced by frowns and murmurs of confusion. Rallick leaned forward, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "What is this nonsense?" Admiral Kane continued, his tone unwavering. "We have grown, we have learned, and we have built something that will change the balance of power in this galaxy forever." The room fell silent again. Even the most dismissive delegates couldn't ignore the confidence in Kane's voice. There was no trace of fear or hesitation. This was not a plea for recognition, it was a declaration. The hologram shifted, showing an image that caused gasps to echo through the hall. A massive fleet of human starships appeared, each one larger and more advanced than anything the delegates had seen before. The ships gleamed with a metallic sheen, and their designs were sleek yet intimidating. Energy signatures radiated from them, so powerful they seemed to warp the space around them. "This is the human armada," Kane said. "We have spent decades preparing for this moment. Our fleet is capable of traveling beyond the boundaries of known space, powered by technology you cannot comprehend. We do not seek war, but we are prepared to defend ourselves and our interests." The council leader stood, her crystalline body glowing brighter as she spoke. "Admiral Kane, you claim humanity is ready to join us, yet you speak with threats and arrogance. Do you not understand the consequences of challenging the council?" Kane's expression remained unchanged. "We do not challenge the council. We offer a partnership, one built on mutual respect. Humanity will no longer accept a position of inferiority. We bring strength, innovation, and a willingness to shape the future of this galaxy alongside you. But if the council cannot see our value—" He paused, letting his words hang in the air like a loaded weapon. The tension in the room was palpable. "Then we will forge our own path." The screen blinked off, leaving the delegates in stunned silence. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the hall erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices a mix of anger, fear, and disbelief. "How dare they?" Rallic roared, slamming a clawed hand onto his desk. "They are a primitive species. They cannot dictate terms to us." "They have a fleet," whispered another delegate, her insectoid antennae trembling. "A fleet unlike anything we've seen. If they're telling the truth, we must act immediately." An amphibian delegate croaked. "We cannot allow them to grow any stronger." The council leader raised her hand again, and the room quieted. Her expression was unreadable as she addressed the assembly. "This is an unprecedented moment. Humanity has made their intentions clear, and we must decide how to respond. Do we engage them as allies, or do we see them as a threat?" Before anyone could answer, another alert flashed on the holographic display. A live feed appeared, showing a cluster of human ships entering a previously unexplored sector of space. They moved with precision, their engines glowing like miniature stars. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer waiting for permission. They were already making their move. "Prepare a response," the council leader ordered, her voice colder than before. "This meeting is far from over." The room buzzed with tension as the delegates realized that the galaxy was on the brink of a new era, one shaped, for better or worse, by humanity. The unknown armada. The holographic feed from the human fleet continued to play in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council. The ships were arranged in a formation that was both elegant and intimidating. Their precise movements seemed to mock the Council's fleets, which, though vast, were often uncoordinated and divided by rivalries among species. The feed suddenly switched to a close-up view of the largest ship in the fleet. It dwarfed every other vessel, a colossal behemoth with shimmering panels that seemed to absorb and reflect light in patterns the delegates couldn't decipher. Alien scientists in the room scrambled to analyze the energy readings, their expressions quickly shifting from curiosity to alarm. This is impossible," stammered Dr. Urek, a Korvian scientist whose 6 eyes darted between his data tablet and the display. "The energy output from that ship exceeds the combined power of the Zeltran Empire's entire fleet." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Rallic, the Zeltran delegate, hissed in disbelief. "You dare compare our empire to these humans? Their display is nothing but a trick." Dr. Urek didn't respond. His trembling hands clutched the tablet as he muttered calculations under his breath. The other scientists seemed equally shaken. "Enough speculation," Rallic growled. "Council leader, we must act now. Send our fleets to intercept them. Let us crush this pathetic display before it goes any further." The council leader's crystalline form shimmered faintly as she considered the situation. Her voice was calm but carried a weight that silenced the room. "And if they are not bluffing, if their fleet is as powerful as they claim, would you risk open war with a species capable of such innovation?" Rallic's retort was cut short by another alert. A second feed appeared, this time showing the Council's own fleets stationed near the Zekaran Nebula, an uncharted and dangerous region of space. The ships were preparing to intercept the humans. Commander Draxus of the 4th Fleet reporting. Came a deep, gravelly voice through the transmission. The commander, a hulking figure with cybernetic implants, saluted. "We have detected the human armada. Permission to engage." The council leader hesitated. Before she could respond, the human fleet made its move. On the screen, the human ships began to maneuver into the nebula, a region so dense with energy storms and gravitational anomalies that most species avoided it entirely. To follow them into the nebula was to invite disaster. The Council's fleets paused, unsure of their next step. "This is madness," one delegate whispered. "No fleet can survive the Zekaran Nebula." "Perhaps that's the point," another replied. "The humans are running. They know they can't face us in open combat." But as the Council watched, it became clear that the humans weren't running. Their ships moved through the nebula with precision, as if they knew its secrets. Energy storms that would have torn apart other ships seemed to bend around them. Gravitational anomalies that could crush entire fleets were navigated with ease. Then, one by one, the Council's ships began to vanish. The room erupted in panic. "What is happening?" Rallick bellowed. "Where are our ships?" Dr. Urek stared at his screen, his face pale. "They're not being destroyed," he said slowly. "They're being disabled." The display shifted to show one of the Council's cruisers floating aimlessly in the nebula, its systems completely offline. Nearby, a smaller human ship approached, emitting a faint pulse of energy. The cruiser's hull glowed briefly before its lights flickered and died. "They've neutralized it without firing a single shot," Urek whispered in awe. The Council leader's voice cut through the chaos. "Pull the fleet back. Do not engage further until we understand their capabilities." But it was too late. The human armada emerged from the nebula unscathed, their ships now positioned directly between the Council's fleets and the core systems of the galaxy. The humans had demonstrated not only their technological superiority, but also their strategic brilliance. They had turned a dangerous region into a weapon, disarming their enemies without spilling a drop of blood. "Admiral Kane is requesting another transmission," an aide announced nervously. "Put him through," the Council leader said, her voice steely. Admiral Kane's face appeared on the screen, his expression calm and composed. "You've seen what we are capable of," he said. "This was a demonstration, nothing more. We could have destroyed your fleet, but we chose not to. Humanity does not seek war. We seek respect." His eyes scanned the room as if he could see the delegates through the screen. "The question is, will you recognize our strength and work with us, or will you force us to show the true extent of our power?" Before anyone could respond, the feed cut off, leaving the Council in stunned silence. The Council leader finally spoke, her voice low but firm. "It seems humanity has more surprises than we anticipated. Prepare a full analysis of their technology. We must understand their capabilities before we decide our next move." As the delegates began to argue and debate, one thing was clear. Humanity had just reshaped the balance of power in the galaxy, and the Council was no longer sure if they could control it. Humanity's bold statement. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was no longer a place of calm deliberation. The room buzzed with tension as delegates argued and speculated about the humans' bold actions. For centuries, the Council had been the ultimate authority in the galaxy. Now, an upstart species from an insignificant planet was challenging their dominance. Before any consensus could be reached, the shimmering blue orb that served as the Council's communication hub pulsed to life again. "Incoming transmission," it announced. "Source: Human Alliance flagship." The chamber fell silent. Every delegate turned their attention to the holographic display, where Admiral Marcus Kane reappeared. This time, he stood not in front of a starfield, but on the bridge of his flagship. Behind him, humans in crisp uniforms worked at consoles, their movements purposeful and efficient. "Council members," Kane began, his voice calm but commanding. "You've seen a glimpse of what humanity has achieved. But let me be clear. This is only the beginning." A murmur rippled through the room, but no one interrupted. Kane's gaze swept across the assembly, as if he were addressing them face to face. "For centuries, humanity has faced challenges that would have destroyed lesser species," he continued. "We have endured wars, plagues, and environmental collapse. We have been forged in fire, and that fire has made us stronger. While you squabbled over borders and resources, we learned to innovate, to adapt, to survive. And now we are ready to thrive." The hologram shifted to show a detailed schematic of one of humanity's new warships. The ship's design was elegant yet menacing, its smooth lines interrupted by advanced weapon systems and energy emitters. Arrows pointed to key components, with annotations explaining their function in simple, stark terms: plasma wave cannons, planetary destruction capability, quantum shields, impervious to known weaponry, dark energy core. unlimited power. The council delegates stared in stunned silence. Even the most advanced species among them had nothing that could rival these technologies. "We have achieved what many of you deemed impossible," Kane said, his voice unwavering. "Our dark energy cores allow us to travel beyond the known edges of the galaxy. Our quantum shields render your most powerful weapons useless, and our plasma wave cannons are capable of reshaping entire worlds. We do not boast of these achievements to intimidate you, but to establish one simple fact. Humanity is no longer a species to be dismissed or ignored." The hologram shifted again, this time showing the Council's disabled fleet in the Zekaran Nebula. Ships floated aimlessly, their systems offline, as human vessels moved among them like silent predators. "This was a demonstration of restraint," Kane continued. "We could have destroyed your fleet, but we chose to neutralize it instead. This is the future humanity offers. Strength tempered by reason, power guided by purpose. We seek to unite the galaxy, not through fear, but through cooperation." The murmurs in the chamber grew louder. Some delegates looked intrigued, others outraged. Rallic, the Zeltran delegate, slammed his clawed hand on his desk. "This is an insult. A primitive species dares to dictate terms to us. We must respond with force." "Force," Kane repeated, his lips curving into a faint smile. "You've already seen how futile that would be. Your fleets cannot match ours. Your technology is centuries behind. The question is not whether you can defeat us, but whether you can afford the consequences of trying." The room fell silent again. Rallic glared at the hologram, but he said nothing. Kane stepped forward, his holographic image growing larger. "Humanity does not seek to dominate the galaxy. We do not wish to impose our will on others, but we will not be treated as inferiors. We demand a seat on this council, an equal voice in the decisions that shape our future." The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. A seat on the council was no small request. It was a symbol of power, influence, and legitimacy. Granting it to humanity would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. The council leader raised her hand, her crystalline body glowing faintly. "Admiral Kane, you ask for equality, yet you approach us with threats and displays of power. How can we trust that humanity's intentions are as noble as you claim?" Kane's expression softened, though his eyes remained sharp. "Trust is earned, not given," he replied, "and humanity is prepared to earn it. But understand this, the galaxy is changing, whether you like it or not. We can face that change together, as allies or apart, as adversaries. The choice is yours." The hologram flickered and disappeared, leaving the council in stunned silence. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the room erupted into chaos. "They're bluffing," Rallic shouted, his voice rising above the din. "They cannot possibly possess such technology. They neutralized our fleet without a single casualty," countered an insectoid delegate, her antennae twitching nervously. "If that's a bluff, it's the most convincing one I've ever seen." The council leader raised her hand again, and the chamber fell quiet. Her voice was steady, but there was a note of unease in her tone. "We must proceed with caution. Humanity has proven that they are no longer a minor power, whether we like it or not. They are a force to be reckoned with." As the delegates continued to debate, far away, aboard the human flagship, Admiral Kane stood at the helm. His officers moved around him, executing orders with precision. A young lieutenant approached him. "Sir, the council is in disarray," the lieutenant reported. "They don't know how to respond." Kane nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "Good. Let them talk. Let them argue. The more divided they are, the stronger we become. Humanity's time has come, and nothing will stand in our way." The trap revealed. The council chamber remained in a state of chaotic deliberation. Accusations flew, theories were formed, and factions began to emerge. Some delegates, like Rallic of the Zeltran Empire, called for immediate retaliation, while others advocated caution, their fear of humanity's newfound power evident. The council leader watched in silence, her crystalline body dimmed as she processed the rapid developments. As the arguments raged, an alert blared across the chamber. "Emergency transmission from the Zekaran Nebula," the orb announced. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the face of Commander Draxus. His normally composed demeanor was replaced by visible tension, his cybernetic implants sparking faintly as he delivered his report. "Council, this is Draxus. The situation has worsened," he began. Behind him, the disabled council fleet floated like ghosts, eerily silent. "The human ships are using some form of advanced energy disruption technology. We've attempted to counter it, but nothing works. Our ships are dead in the void, and their crews are stranded." "Have they attacked?" the council leader asked, her tone measured. Draxus shook his head. "No. They're observing us. It's as if they're studying our every move. But there's something else. Our sensors have detected faint signals, hidden beacons scattered throughout the nebula. They're broadcasting a pattern I don't recognize." Dr. Urek, the Corvian scientist, paled as he examined the data Draxus had transmitted. "Those beacons, they're not just broadcasting. They're amplifying the nebula's gravitational anomalies and energy storms. Humanity has weaponized the environment itself." The chamber erupted again, but this time, the fear was palpable. Weaponizing natural phenomena was a tactic the council had deemed too unpredictable, too dangerous. Yet here was humanity, doing the impossible. "We must evacuate our fleet before they are lost entirely," an amphibian delegate croaked, his voice trembling. "The nebula is a death trap." Before the council leader could respond, another transmission interrupted them. Admiral Kane appeared once more, his holographic presence calm and unwavering. "Council members," he began, "I see you've discovered our little experiment." "Experiment?" Rallick roared, slamming his claws onto the desk. "You dare use our fleets as test subjects?" Kane's lips curved into a faint smile. "Your fleets ventured into the nebula of their own accord. We merely anticipated your moves and prepared accordingly. The beacons you've detected are part of a larger system, one that allows us to manipulate the environment to our advantage." The hologram shifted to a map of the Zekaran Nebula, highlighting the network of beacons. "You see, humanity has always thrived in adversity. The Zekaran Nebula, once considered impassable, is now under our control. And it's not the only region we've adapted to." The map expanded to show other hazardous zones across the galaxy. Black holes, asteroid fields, radiation belts, all marked with human activity. The implications were clear. Humanity was not just advancing. They were mastering the galaxy's most dangerous territories. "You've turned the galaxy into your laboratory," the council leader observed, her crystalline body glowing faintly with intrigue and unease. "But to what end?" Kane's expression turned serious. "To ensure our survival and to establish a balance of power. For too long, the council has ruled unchecked, its members vying for dominance while ignoring the potential of so-called lesser species. Humanity will not be a silent spectator any longer. We will bring order to the chaos you've allowed to fester." "Order?" an insectoid delegate hissed, her antennae twitching. "Or domination? That depends on you," Kane replied. "We've neutralized your fleet to demonstrate our capabilities, not to provoke war. But make no mistake, if you choose hostility, we will respond with overwhelming force." The tension in the room was palpable, but Kane wasn't finished. "And before you consider retaliation, I suggest you take a closer look at your own council." The hologram shifted again, revealing security footage from the council's own archives. Delegates gasped as they saw humans, disguised as various alien species, moving freely within council-controlled facilities. One image showed a human operative planting a beacon on a council ship. Another showed a meeting between a human diplomat and a shadowy figure who appeared to be a council member. "There are traitors among you," Kane said, his voice cold. "Not all of your members share your vision for the galaxy. Some believe in humanity's cause. Others are simply opportunists willing to sell secrets for personal gain. Either way, your unity is fractured. The chamber descended into chaos. Delegates accused one another. Alliances crumbled, and the room became a battlefield of words. The council leader raised her hand, silencing the uproar. "Enough," she said, her voice like a blade cutting through the noise. "Admiral Kane, you've made your point. Humanity is more formidable than we anticipated. But do not mistake our caution for weakness. We will investigate these claims of betrayal, and we will respond to your actions." Kane nodded. "I wouldn't expect anything less. But remember, every moment you spend fighting among yourselves is a moment humanity grows stronger. The galaxy is changing, council members. The only question is whether you will change with it or be left behind." The hologram faded, leaving the council to grapple with the implications of Kane's words. As the delegates continued their heated debates, one thing was clear: humanity was no longer playing by the galaxy's rules. They were rewriting them. And the council was running out of time to respond. The council's counterattack. The Galactic Council's chambers were now a battleground of whispers, accusations, and hurried plans. Delegates from all corners of the galaxy debated their next move, their fear of humanity overshadowed only by their desperation to reclaim control. "Enough talk." Ralik of the Zeltran Empire bellowed, his reptilian tail slamming against the floor. "If we wait any longer, humanity will solidify its position. We must strike now, before they expand their hold on the galaxy." "Strike with what?" the insectoid delegate retorted, her antennae flicking nervously. "Our fleets are neutralized, our spies exposed. Humanity has already predicted our moves." The council leader stood, her crystalline form glowing with a fierce intensity. "We will not be cowed by fear," she said, her voice sharp and commanding. "Prepare the 7th Armada. We will test the limits of humanity's power and remind them why the council has ruled for millennia." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The 7th Armada was the council's most advanced fleet, equipped with experimental weaponry and piloted by the galaxy's finest strategists. If any force could challenge humanity's armada, it was this. The counterattack begins. The 7th Armada launched from the orbital shipyards of the council's capital world. Hundreds of sleek, angular ships glided into formation, their engines glowing with the light of exotic matter. At their center was the Titan Ascendant, a colossal dreadnought bristling with weapons and shield emitters. It was said to be impenetrable, a fortress in the void. Admiral Sarek, a seasoned warrior with a cybernetic implant covering half his face, stood on the bridge of the Titan Ascendant. "All ships, advance to the Zekaran Nebula," he ordered. "We will crush their arrogance and restore order." The fleet entered hyperspace, leaving streaks of light in their wake. On board, crews prepared for battle, their confidence bolstered by decades of victories against other galactic threats. Yet, as they neared the nebula, a strange unease began to settle over them. The human fleet was waiting. The trap within a trap. As the 7th Armada emerged from hyperspace, they found themselves surrounded. The human armada, led by the flagship Erebus, formed a perfect sphere around the council's fleet, their ships glinting like stars in the darkness. "How did they know our route?" Sarek growled, his cybernetic eye glowing red as he scanned the tactical displays. "Deploy countermeasures and prepare for battle." Before the council's ships could fire a single shot, the Erebus emitted a pulse of energy that rippled through space. The council's ships shuddered as their systems flickered and dimmed. Sarek's bridge crew scrambled to respond. "What's happening?" he barked. "The pulse is targeting our communication arrays and weapon systems," his tactical officer replied. "We're being jammed." From the Erebus, Admiral Kane appeared on the council's displays. His calm, confident demeanor only fueled Sarek's rage. "Admiral Sarek," Kane said, "your reputation precedes you. I've studied your tactics, your victories. Impressive, but predictable." Sarek sneered. "You may have disabled our systems, but you haven't won. My fleet is the finest in the galaxy. We will adapt." Kane's expression remained impassive. Adaptation is a strength humanity understands well, but you're not just fighting us. You're fighting time. The Council fleet sensors began picking up faint signals around them. Beacons, similar to those in the Zekaran Nebula, activated one by one, forming a massive energy grid that surrounded the Armada. Those aren't just beacons, Sarek realized, his voice low. They're weapons. The grid pulsed, sending waves of gravitational distortions rippling through the battlefield. Council ships struggled to maintain formation as their engines fought against the anomalies. The 7th Armada was being boxed in, their mobility stripped away. The infiltration. While the Council's fleet fought to regain control, a human strike team launched from the Erebus. A sleek stealth shuttle slipped past the chaos and docked with the Titan Ascendant. Its crew, the elite operatives clad in adaptive exosuits, moved swiftly through the dreadnought's corridors. Their target was the ship's command core, a heavily guarded chamber that controlled the fleet's experimental weaponry. The Council's soldiers, though well-trained, were no match for the humans' advanced technology. Cloaking devices and precision energy weapons allowed the strike team to neutralize opposition with minimal effort. Inside the command core, the lead operative, Captain Aria Vega, began hacking into the dreadnought's systems. "We're in," she reported. "Uploading the counter-command codes now." The turning point. On the bridge of the Titan Ascendant, Sarek's tactical displays suddenly flickered. The gravitational grid was tightening, forcing the Council's ships closer together. Meanwhile, the human ships maintained perfect formation, their movements synchronized like a single organism. "Admiral Kane, you've underestimated us," Sarek growled. "We still have the plasma arc cannons." He issued the command, but nothing happened. His crew scrambled to diagnose the issue. That's when Sarek noticed a small icon flashing on his console. A human insignia. "They've taken control of our weapons," he roared. Kane's hologram appeared once more, this time on Sarek's private channel. "Your weapons are impressive, Admiral," Kane said, his tone laced with quiet satisfaction. "But in the hands of your enemies, they're even more so." The Titan Ascendant's plasma cannons powered up, but instead of targeting the human ships, they turned on the Council's own fleet. Massive energy blasts ripped through the Armada, shattering ships and scattering debris. Sarek slammed his fists on the console. "This isn't over," he snarled. Kane's expression softened. "It is, Admiral. Your fleet is defeated, and your flagship is ours. Surrender, and we will spare your crews." The aftermath. Sarek had no choice. The 7th Armada, the pride of the Galactic Council, was in ruins. The Titan Ascendant systems powered down, signaling their surrender. The human Armada remained untouched, their precision and strategy leaving the Council's forces humiliated. Back in the Council chamber, the delegates watched the transmission in stunned silence. The Council leader's crystalline form dimmed as she spoke. "This is no longer a battle of fleets," she said quietly. "This is a battle for the future of the galaxy, and humanity is winning." Far away, aboard the Erebus, Admiral Kane watched as the remnants of the 7th Armada retreated. "Send a message to the Council," he ordered. "Let them know this was their final warning." As the human fleet regrouped, the galaxy braced itself for the dawn of a new era, one where humanity was no longer just a rising power, but a force that could no longer be ignored. Humanity's secret weapon. The Council chamber was gripped by despair and rage. Delegates stared in stunned silence at the remnants of the 7th Armada limping back to the capital. Humanity's dominance had become undeniable, but the Council was far from defeated. Murmurs of rebellion and desperation filled the room as factions argued over what to do next. Amidst the chaos, the Council leader's crystalline body glowed faintly, signaling the need for order. "Delegates," she began, her voice calm yet heavy. "Humanity has shown us their strength, but they have yet to reveal their full hand. We must uncover their secrets before deciding our next move." Rallick hissed in frustration, his claws scraping the desk. What more secrets could they possibly have? They've already humiliated us at every turn. Dr. Urek, the Corvian scientist, stepped forward. His 6 eyes blinked in unison as he addressed the assembly. I've been analyzing the data from the Zekaran Nebula and the 7th Armada engagement. There are anomalies, patterns that suggest humanity's technology is linked to something far greater than we've seen. They're hiding something. Before anyone could question him, the orb in the center of the chamber pulsed with another transmission. It was from Admiral Kane. But this time, he was accompanied by a towering construct that dominated the hologram. The room fell silent as the image stabilized. Behind Kane stood the Ark Horizon, humanity's secret weapon, a colossal ship larger than any vessel the galaxy had ever seen. Its surface was covered in glowing, shifting patterns, as if it were alive. Strange, rune-like markings adorned its hull, pulsating with energy that even the Council's most advanced scanners struggled to decipher. Council members, Kane began, his voice steady, allow me to introduce the Ark Horizon. It is the culmination of humanity's greatest minds and centuries of sacrifice. Powered by technology or species abandoned as impossible, it is not merely a ship. It is a fortress, a gateway, and, if necessary, a judgment. A hologram zoomed out to reveal the full scale of the Ark Horizon. It dwarfed planets in size, and the energy it radiated caused interference with the Council's communications. The ship's core glowed with a swirling vortex of energy that defied understanding. Relic leaned forward, his reptilian eyes wide. What? What is that core? Kane's expression remained calm. Dark matter compression. A technology your scientists deemed unstable, we have mastered. This core allows the Ark Horizon to manipulate space, time, and energy itself. It can travel to the edges of the known universe in moments or create localized gravitational fields strong enough to shatter moons. Gasps and whispers filled the chamber. Even the most skeptical delegates were visibly shaken. The council leader raised a hand, her crystalline form dimming with unease. Why reveal this now, Admiral Kane? If your intentions are peaceful, why showcase a weapon of such overwhelming power? Kane's gaze hardened. Because peace cannot be achieved through words alone. Humanity has learned the hard way that power is the only language the galaxy truly respects. This is not a weapon for conquest. It is a shield for our survival. But if provoked, it can become a sword. The power of the Ark Horizon. The hologram shifted, showing the Ark Horizon in action. A simulation displayed a fleet of alien ships firing upon it, their weapons disappearing into the swirling energy field around its core. The ship responded with a single pulse, disabling the attacking fleet without destroying it. This is the future humanity offers, Kane said. Conflict without unnecessary bloodshed. Power tempered by precision. The simulation changed again, showing the Ark Horizon deploying smaller craft. Automated drones capable of constructing cities, repairing fleets, and even terraforming planets. We do not only bring strength, Kane continued, but also progress. With the Ark Horizon, we can rebuild worlds devastated by war, stabilize collapsing star systems, and ensure prosperity for all. But this future is only possible if we work together. Doubt and division. Despite the demonstration, the council chamber remained divided. Relic stood, his voice dripping with contempt. Do you expect us to kneel before you simply because you possess a bigger weapon? Your promises of peace are nothing more than veiled threats. Kane's hologram turned toward Relic. I expect you to recognize the reality of the galaxy. Humanity has no interest in domination, but we will not be subjugated. Cooperation is your best path forward. Dr. Urek interjected, his voice trembling. Admiral Kane, your ship's capabilities are extraordinary, but manipulating dark matter on such a scale is dangerous. If your technology fails, the consequences could be catastrophic. Kane nodded, acknowledging the concern. That is why the Ark Horizon is not merely a technological marvel, but a symbol of trust. We are willing to share our advancements with the galaxy, provided the Council agrees to mutual respect and partnership. The chamber fell silent as the weight of Kane's words settled over the delegates. For the first time, the Council leader's voice softened. Admiral Kane, you offer humanity's hand in alliance, but you wield a sword to enforce it. How can we be sure your intentions are genuine? Kane's expression shifted slightly, a rare hint of vulnerability crossing his face. Because we have no other choice. Humanity has fought to survive every step of the way. We've learned that trust is earned, but it must also be given. The Arc Horizon is a beacon of that trust, a symbol of what we can achieve together. The galaxy holds its breath. The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. The image of the Arc Horizon lingered in their minds, a symbol of humanity's unshakable resolve and their potential for both destruction and creation. As debates resumed, a shadowy figure slipped out of the chamber, a hidden agent of the Council's resistance. Their mission was clear: uncover the true extent of the Arc Horizon's power and, if necessary, destroy it before it could reshape the galaxy forever. Far away, aboard the Arc Horizon, Kane stood before the ship's core, its swirling energy illuminating his face. "They will come for us," he said quietly to his second-in-command, Area Vega. "And we'll be ready," she replied. "The galaxy is watching, Admiral. Humanity has the power to lead it, or to crush it." Kane's gaze hardened as he stared into the core. "Then let's ensure they choose wisely." A new galactic order. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Delegates who had once spoken with bluster and confidence now sat subdued, their eyes darting between one another. The image of the Arc Horizon, humanity's towering symbol of power and potential, was etched into their minds. The question hanging over the room was not just whether humanity would lead, but whether the galaxy would survive the transition. The Council leader, her crystalline form dim but resolute, finally broke the silence. "The time for debate is over. Humanity's rise is undeniable, but the manner of their ascent must be judged. Do we accept their offer of alliance and risk their dominance, or do we resist and face the unknown consequences?" Her words stirred the chamber into motion. Delegates leaned into whispered conversations, but a palpable fear lingered. No one wanted to admit it, but humanity had forced them into a corner. They were no longer negotiating from a position of strength. The Resistance's plan. Far from the Council chamber, in the shadowed corridors of a secret station orbiting a dying star, the Resistance within the Council was preparing its response. A small faction of delegates and military leaders had decided that humanity's rise had to be stopped, no matter the cost. At the heart of their plan was a prototype weapon, the Stellar Lance. It was a device capable of destabilizing dark matter constructs, designed specifically to counter humanity's technology. The Resistance believed that if they could disable the Arc Horizon, they could shatter humanity's influence and force them back into submission. "We deploy the Stellar Lance immediately," declared Commander Varix, a hulking feline alien with piercing amber eyes. "Humanity has left us no choice." "But what if they retaliate?" a hesitant Resistance scientist asked. "The Arc Horizon is their beacon. Destroying it could provoke a war we cannot win." Varix's claws flexed. "If we wait, there won't be a galaxy left to save." The final confrontation. The Resistance launched the Stellar Lance under the cover of a solar storm, masking its approach to the Arc Horizon. The weapon, disguised as a meteorite, hurtled toward the massive ship, its destabilization core primed to detonate on impact. Aboard the Arc Horizon, Admiral Kane stood on the bridge, his expression calm but watchful. The ship's advanced sensors picked up the anomaly moments before it reached critical range. "Commander Vega," Kane said, "activate defensive protocols." Area Vega's fingers danced across her console. The Arc Horizon's hull shimmered, a wave of light rippling outward as the ship's quantum shields flared to life. The Stellar Lance struck the shield and detonated, releasing a burst of energy that briefly disrupted the ship's systems. The bridge shook, and warning lights flickered. "Shields are holding," Vega reported, her voice steady. But that wasn't a natural event. "The Council has made their move." Kane's jaw tightened, and they've just made their first mistake. Humanity's countermove. Kane addressed his fleet, his voice broadcast across every ship. "The Council has chosen resistance. They have attacked the Arc Horizon, believing it will force us to retreat. Instead, we will show them the cost of their defiance." The human fleet mobilized with surgical precision, moving to intercept the Council's remaining forces. But instead of launching an all-out attack, humanity enacted a plan that stunned the galaxy. They began disabling Council-controlled infrastructure, power grids, communication arrays, and planetary defense systems, without firing a single lethal shot. Admiral Kane broadcast a message to every major galactic hub. "We do not seek conquest. We do not seek war. But if the Council will not respect humanity's place in the galaxy, we will dismantle the systems they rely upon to oppress and divide. This is your moment to decide. Will you stand with humanity and embrace a new order, or will you cling to a past that no longer serves you?" A galactic turning point. The Resistance scrambled to recover from humanity's counterstrike. Their fleets were immobilized, their weapons rendered useless. The Council chamber was in chaos as panicked delegates called for immediate action. The Council leader stood once more, her form glowing brighter than it had in years. "Enough," she declared, her voice cutting through the noise. "We have underestimated humanity at every turn. They have shown restraint where we have shown fear. It is time we acknowledge the truth. The galaxy is no longer ours alone to rule." Her words silenced the chamber. Slowly, delegates began to nod in reluctant agreement. Even Rallick, though seething with rage, realized that further resistance was futile. The birth of the new alliance. A formal delegation from the Council was sent to the Arc Horizon. Standing aboard the human flagship, surrounded by the ship's monumental architecture, the delegates were greeted by Kane and Vega. The Council leader stepped forward. "Admiral Kane, humanity has proven its strength, its resolve, and its vision. The Council proposes a new alliance, one where humanity holds an equal seat at the table, alongside the founding species of the galaxy." Kane considered her words, his expression unreadable. Finally, he extended his hand. "We accept. But know this: equality is not just a title. It is a promise. If this alliance is to succeed, the old ways must end. No more petty rivalries. No more oppression. The galaxy must unite, or fall apart." The Council leader nodded solemnly. "Agreed." A new era. The galaxy watched as humanity took its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as equals. The Arc Horizon became a symbol of hope and progress, its vast capabilities used to rebuild war-torn planets and stabilize collapsing systems. Humanity shared its technology, helping other species unlock new potentials. But the peace was not without its shadows. The Resistance lingered in the fringes of the galaxy, plotting their return. And far beyond the edges of known space, ancient forces began to stir, drawn by the ripples humanity had created. As the Arc Horizon glided through the void, Kane stood at the viewport, gazing at the distant stars. "This is only the beginning," he murmured. Area Vega joined him, her expression contemplative. "Do you think the galaxy is ready for what's out there?" Kane's eyes hardened. "If they aren't, we'll make them ready. Humanity didn't rise from nothing to stop here. The stars are ours to shape, and we'll face whatever comes next together." And so, a new chapter in galactic history began, one where humanity's light shone brighter than ever, casting long shadows on the future yet to unfold.